The conversation started picking up momentum after a clip began circulating, showing Asmongold speaking about the backlash surrounding Emiru and the wider situation involving her friends staying quiet publicly. Asmongold shares in the following.
And never friends defended her. I mean, again, I wish more of the, like, I mean, again, I don't want to get involved in, like, Emmy's, like, her friends or something. Like, I don't know about that. I don't want to talk about it a lot for obvious reasons. I know them. But, like, overall, I do think that a lot of them should have defended her. I guess I should say that. I mean, I think they should have defended her, and I didn't like the fact that they didn't come out and say that. And I think that, like, if you want to do that, that's fine. But it's important to keep in mind the people that, you know, don't do that for you, right? And I find it to be problematic. It's very problematic. So, yeah, those are not friends. I mean, I definitely wouldn't look at things the same way. If that was me, I would not look at things the same way after that at all.
As the narrative builds, the focus becomes less about the original controversy and more about expectations within streamer friendships. Viewers began questioning whether public defense is even necessary, or if silence is sometimes the smarter option when situations are messy or unclear. The clip gained traction quickly because it tapped into a bigger question. Do online friendships carry a responsibility to speak out, or is staying neutral actually the safer move? Once the clip started circulating, the community reaction fractured into multiple camps almost immediately. Some viewers interpreted his comments as protective, suggesting he was calling out what they saw as performative friendships or people avoiding controversy to protect their own image. Others pushed back hard, arguing that expecting public statements from friends creates unnecessary pressure and turns private relationships into content. A few more cynical takes even speculated about his motives or dynamic with Emiru, while others defended him by saying he treats situations involving her more carefully compared to how blunt he can be with other creators. Another side of the conversation shifted toward Emiru herself, with people debating whether she should have spoken more or whether she was justified in staying quiet if she felt uninformed. Some commenters argued that criticism over silence felt unfair, while others questioned what meaningful defense from friends would even look like in a situation where she hadn't taken a strong public stance. As more reactions rolled in, the discussion became less about one streamer's opinion and more about how audiences expect loyalty, accountability, and public support to work inside online friend groups. Their drama kicked off after a clip began circulating from a livestream involving Alvia's Sanctuary, where Maya reportedly confronted fellow streamer Lacy over a situation that rubbed a lot of viewers the wrong way. According to the post-making rounds online, the issue centered on 2 leopard geckos that had been purchased and then returned just a week later, something that, in Maya's eyes, crossed a line when it comes to responsible animal care. The conversation wasn't framed like typical streamer drama either. It felt more serious, rooted in real-world consequences, rather than just online arguments. Maya confronts Lacy in the following clip.
Do you remember when you got those geckos and I told you, I said, Lacy, you better take care of those 2 pets for the duration of their entire lives.
I did.
Don't interrupt me. To listen, to give a good example to your young viewers that you don't get pets without doing proper research, and you take care of them for the duration of their lives because that's a commitment that you made to them. And do you remember you said, yes, I will do that?
Yes.
Now look into the camera and tell them, I will never get a pet again without doing proper research, and you shouldn't either.
Chat, I will never ever get a pet again without doing proper research, and you guys should not either. Make sure to be responsible when you get pets, and make sure you are ready and responsible.
As the story builds, you can feel the tension before the clip even starts. Viewers knew Maya's always been calm and educational when it comes to wildlife, so hearing that she was genuinely upset caught people's attention fast. The setup almost feels like a shift in tone. Not just entertainment, but someone stepping in because they believe animals were being treated like temporary content rather than living creatures. Once the footage began spreading, the community reaction came in waves. Some people argued that, at the very least, returning the geckos was better than keeping pets you weren't prepared to care for long term, framing it as a responsible correction rather than a failure. Others praised Maya for standing firm, saying she has a reputation for being laid back until wildlife is involved, and that this moment reinforced why many streamers take her seriously. A few commenters even claimed that people behind the scenes respect her because she'll call out behavior directly, even if it involves friends. But not everyone agreed on the bigger picture. Parts of the community shifted the conversation towards streamer culture itself, questioning why pets so often become props for content before the long-term responsibility is fully considered. Some posts criticized creators in general, suggesting that caring for animals should never be treated as a quick addition to a stream, while others pushed back, saying the internet tends to exaggerate situations without full context. By the end of the discussion, the thread had evolved into more than just a single confrontation. It became a debate about accountability, content creation, and what responsibility looks like when real animals are involved. The conversation started picking up momentum after a post began circulating online, showing extra Emily opening up during a stream about something surprisingly personal, how she feels when she goes out in public and no one approaches her. Instead of the usual loud or chaotic clip people expect from streamer drama, this one felt slower and more vulnerable. She talked about feeling like she's always been that way, wondering out loud if maybe she comes across as unapproachable, a moment that caught a lot of viewers off guard because it pulled back the curtain on the person behind the content rather than the character people see online, sharing in the following clip.
When I go out to bars, no one talks to me, which is fine. Like, I don't care. But like, no one ever talks to me. And then maybe I look unapproachable or something, or I'm just like kind of sitting there. But no one, it is fine. Like, that's what's happened like my entire life is that no one really like says anything except maybe like 2 people, you know? And then, which is fine, but I did get, are you extra Emily? Can I take a photo with you? And I was like, of course. And then they're like, wow, this is so crazy seeing you here. It's actually so interesting how many people come up to me and they're like, I didn't know that you lived in Austin. And I was like, yeah, or like, they're like, they say, I didn't know that you were here. And I'm like, yeah, I live in Austin. So maybe people just don't know that I live in Austin, because I get that maybe like 30% of the time. So I guess they're just TikTok watchers or something, or they just watch clips. They don't know that I live in Austin.
Once the clip started making the rounds, community reactions quickly split into different camps. Some responses were sympathetic, saying that even confident online personalities can struggle socially, and that her honesty was refreshing to hear. Others were more critical, arguing that the way she presents herself online might influence how people perceive her in public, with a few claiming that interactions aren't as one-sided as they sound. There were also longer takes from viewers who said they don't necessarily dislike her, but find parts of her content awkward or hard to connect with, suggesting that the gap between her on-stream character and real-life personality might be contributing to the situation. As the discussion continued, a more cynical side of the community leaned into harsher interpretations, framing her behavior as performative or tied to content creation rather than genuine vulnerability. At the same time, others pushed back on that narrative, reminding people that streamers are still real individuals navigating social dynamics under a microscope. Twitch will no longer enforce against streamers who display a combined chat.
In this is something that in most cases we had not been proactively managing or policing putting combined chat on screen, but it was the case that if a report was made, then we were issuing warnings. And that was what happened recently for Giguk. And I don't think, in hindsight, we've definitely heard the feedback. And so to be clear, we are updating our enforcement guidelines to make sure we are not issuing enforcement actions for integrating combined chat on the video from your stream, such as what happened to Giguk and what he was doing when he received the warning. Now, it's important to note the streamer is still taking responsibility for what happens in the chat from third-party platforms, since we don't control that. So sorry about the confusion. Thanks for the feedback.
Forsen attempts to build a portal.
Fucking grass!